All right, joining me now is Nick Hulscher. He is the director of the McCullough Foundation, Tennessee Funeral Directors. That's right here in my home state. Tennessee Funeral Directors. Their association confirms white fibrous clots are real and prevalent. I bet you that has something to do with that mRNA COVID shot. What you bet? Nick, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that's in my home state of Tennessee here. Tell me about these white fibrous clots.
Yeah, well, former U.S. Air Force Major Tom Haviland actually has been conducting global embalmer surveys for the past 3 years. And he has identified among all the embalmers across the world that a majority are in fact seeing these white fibrous clots since 2021, since the mRNA injections rolled out. And most recently at that meeting, at that Funeral Directors Association meeting, he confirmed in person with all these embalmers that they do indeed see these white fibrous clots. And so it's not just on paper in these surveys, it is in person. And they are concerned. The embalmers don't know what they are, but recent and an in-depth analysis over the past few years by Dr. Kevin McCairn and his team has identified that these are likely amyloidogenic, which means these are likely misfolded proteins that have the potential to be infectious, which means that they are exert prion-like activities in that they may be propagating throughout the body. And as one protein misfolds, it can induce other healthy proteins to also misfold. And that's what appears to be what these long clots are. They're not blood. It is a result of the modified spike protein that has not only been released from the biolabs in Wuhan and likely also in America, but also from the mRNA injections themselves.
Let's talk about some good news tonight. God forbid we have some good news, right, Logan? We need some. Robert F. Kennedy. Yeah, we do. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He just cleaned house. What did he just do?
Yeah, RFK just completely wiped out, hit the reset button on the ACIP panel. They've been compromised since the 90s. That was confirmed in a...
What is that panel? That's who decides the vaccine schedule and what kids get?
Yeah. They're the ones who so when you see like the CDC recommended immunization schedule, ACIP's the one who recommends what vaccines people should get. So it's a breath of fresh air that they've been wiped off. All these compromised people, all 17 of them, now with people that appear to be much more not captured at all by the biopharmaceutical complex. So we should see a positive change there. But unfortunately, we do still see the FDA as being compromised in their recent approval of death spike, or in other words, next spike. But next means death in Latin.
Wow. Okay. How about this one? 4 independent sources confirm that Pfizer, Moderna, mRNA can integrate in the human genome. What does that mean for us lay people?
Right. So when the mRNA goes in to your body, when it goes into the cell, this has now been identified in the test tube to integrate into your DNA. So basically, it'll turn into DNA and just basically be a part of you forever. And that's what appears to be the case, not only from the study by Alden and colleagues that showed it in a human liver cell line in the test tube, but also now we do see it in real-world patient data. The Inmodia lab in Germany has detected Pfizer mRNA, Moderna mRNA, SV40, so this DNA contamination, as well as spike years later, years after vaccination, in deceased subjects' tissues. And then we have Neo7 Bioscience in collaboration with University of North Texas has identified very, very bad molecular signatures which are in vaccinated individuals that are indicative of a persistence of this mRNA and reverse transcription. And so the data is pouring out now. It is definitely possible. We do believe that in some individuals, this Pfizer or Moderna mRNA is basically being integrated into their own genomes.
Oh, what does that mean for them to go if they're young enough to go on and fertile enough to go on and have children? Does that impact the DNA? Are they passing something on?
Yeah, we're not sure at the moment. Testing needs to be done, but it is a possibility that this DNA can end up in the offspring, and this offspring will be producing this toxic Wuhan spike protein as well. We hope that's not the case, but it very well may be. Testing is needed.
Any other big story you want to tell our audience about that you're covering? Because, by the way, folks, he's got a website, thefocalpoints.com, thefocalpoints.com. Anything else you want to tell us about?
Yes. Well, we see lion's mane there. Lion's mane is a very interesting mushroom, and it's been shown to increase BDNF, it's called, and nerve growth factor, NGF, in humans, and in experimental models. And so what that means is this can actually promote neuron growth, promote brain growth, and this is showing promise in reversing neurodegenerative diseases, which now affect 43% of the global population, and is now being fueled by the neurotoxic mRNA injections. And so we do need to find methods to start reversing this brain damage. And that is one natural compound, one very safe compound that does show promise in reversing this damage. But also, one more story is glyphosate, right? What's in Roundup, right? The world's most used weed killer. A study in rats, they exposed the rats to glyphosate at so-called safe levels allowed by our regulatory agencies over the period of 2 years. And the rats developed over 10 different types of cancer in all different organ systems, in their bone, in their brain, everywhere. And so they kind of just showed that indeed Roundup, all these pesticides, or particularly glyphosate-based herbicides, are indeed carcinogenic. It corroborates human data. And so these should be banned, right?
Absolutely.
People shouldn't be spraying this stuff, and eat organic if you can. Don't consume these toxins.
Thefocalpoints.com, thefocalpoints.com. Nick Hulscher. Nick, as always, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.